All right, welcome guys. Episode 100, 204. I'm going to eventually stop doing that, but probably not anytime soon. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, Tuesday, whatever time of the day it is. There's sunscreen lotion over there. I have a feeling that that was left behind. I have a feeling that's supposed to go somewhere. And also a pair of glasses next to me. But welcome guys. Thank you so much for joining me, taking time out of your day, 30 to 45 minutes out of your day to sit here and listen to me spiel and talk about nothing. There is a lot going on. I want to get into a few things. I'm going to spend the first 20 minutes of this episode just complaining. I'm getting ready to go on vacation. And so I've put on a few pounds. Right, so let's get a few things established. Definitely eating disorder. Definitely have some sort of eating disorder. Definitely have a nice mixture of OCD with a nice mixture of ADD. I've even joked about. I know it's not a joke because it's not funny. I'm just not going to say it because I don't want to upset people. What is this? Tammy Okono's 91st birthday. Definitely have some sort of mind things, right? So like my body image is never healthy, right? Like right now, I'm currently in decent shape, right? I worked out at the gym this morning. I took my shirt off. I looked in the mirror and I was doing like flies, and I'm in shape. I'm not like out of shape. I'm not fat, but I'm also not like a world-class athlete. Like I'm not in extremely good shape. But I have muscles. I have like a 4-pack. I weigh like 200 pounds. I'm 6 foot. I can run like a sub 6-minute mile. I can go out and run 10 miles. I can, bench 225, squat 315, pull 4 or 5. But if I have a carb or if I have too much protein and I wake up the next day and my weight's like 4 pounds up, I feel like hell. So what I'm saying is I'm getting ready to go on vacation here. So I put on a few pounds. I was about 205 to 208 consistently every single morning. So I just wanted to shed a few pounds. So I started about 4 weeks ago. I've been keto. I had one day where I had some carbohydrates, and it's because I got this delicious jelly. I'll talk about that in a second. ADD much. So I went keto for 4 weeks because I wanted to drop a few pounds, and it's super simple. All I did was just eat bacon, meats, same thing, beef, cheese. I had jalapenos, avocados. So I went in ketosis for a few weeks, no sugar, and I got down to about 198 to 201. So I dropped about between 5 to 8 pounds. So I feel great. I started running again. Running at least 3 miles a day. I think the most I ran was a couple of days ago. I ran 7.7 miles, this is like kind of crazy for me to even think back on. But back in December of 2020, I did the 250 miles. I ran 8 miles every single day. And well, not every single day. Some days I did like 5 or 6, even like 4 some days. Because I also ran 3 half marathons. So on average, every 10 days, I ran a half marathon. And on average, over 30 days, to run 250 miles, you got to run 8 miles plus, like 8.1, 8.2, whatever. And it's like 8.2. I ran 8 miles a day, which is crazy to think. I was like, I was like 190, 188 to 192, just like shredded. Like there's like that 15-pound gap. If I'm up 15 pounds, I'm like, I'm spilling over. This is me talking to me. So this is not accurate. This is, broken, right? Like just a broken body image. And I wonder, I don't know where that came from. I try so hard to think about like, where did that stem from? And I remember as a young child, I remember seeing muscle and fitness magazines. And I remember seeing those magazines. I was like, I want to look like that. But all those that's looked shredded. And I never looked shredded. Like growing up eating, I was never like, I don't like the word healthy because healthy is such a word that doesn't have meaning to it. Like the idea of eating healthy is right now in 2021 is kind of like keto. It's kind of low carb. It's like, stay away from the simple carbohydrates, eat nice lean meat, stay away from red meat. But like when I was growing up, it was heavy carbs. Like I would have been 10 years old, between 10 to 18, that would have been 2006 to 16, 2014. That would have been between 10 to 18. I probably developed my eating habits between 5 to 10. That's probably, 5 to 10 is where I really established how I'm going to live the rest of my life and what I'm eating. And between that time period, between like 2000 to 2005, a little bit, 2000, between 2000 and 2010, like the way people ate in America was anti-fat. So everything that you ate was fat-free. Like the idea of eating fat is what made you fat. So there was a whole generation that is hooked onto sugar, because when you can't add fat to things, fat is a natural flavor. What do you have to do to keep people coming back? Well, you got to start adding sweetness to things. But then sometimes some foods don't have sugar in them naturally, like a bread or a pasta. So they start adding like simple carbohydrates, aka sugar, to these pastas, like enriched flours, things that make your brain addicted. And also things that if you overeat, it turns into fat. Like there's a what's it called? What's it called when carbs turn to fat? Glucose is used by your body for energy, fueling your activities, whether that's going for a run or simply breathing. Unused glucose can be converted to glycogen, which is found in the liver and muscles. If more glucose is consumed than can be stored in glycogen, it's converted to fat. So, but what ended up happening is nobody was eating fat anymore. Everyone was just eating carbs. It was. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but everything said fat free. Things that shouldn't even have fat said fat free, and it was like the war on fat. And at this time, I guarantee if you look at like market caps for these companies, these sugar companies, the Kellogg and all these huge companies, I'm sure like they went crazy. And there's fuck it, I don't care about my hair. We're just whatever it looks like is what it is, because crazy hair, that's what's happening. And there was just this rampant time period where people were just becoming addicts to sugar. And all right, good, we got a huge room. And I think there's a whole generation of just sugar addicts, those who never ate fat, and they grew up to have these very weak metabolisms, these very unhealthy relationships with food. Instead of eating food that is nutrient dense, you eat foods that are macronutrient dense, which is like a completely different meaning. Like you can eat a pound of I don't know, a pound of pasta does not equal a pound of a steak, like a New York rib, or like a ribeye steak, where ribeye steak has so many vitamins and nutrients and like these like high levels of proteins, these branched chain amino acids, and all these like really, really, really healthy things for you. And then you can have pasta, which just has like glucose, and it's not like that healthy for you. They add stuff to it, but adding things to something that is, when you add things to something, it's not as good as if you can get it naturally, obviously. So I've always wondered, like, where did my body image stuff come from? Where did my eating stuff come from? I purge, like, that's not, I don't purge. So I have purged in the past, but I meant binge. I'm a binge eater. And I don't know where that comes from per se, but I do know I still like it's part of me. It's who I am. I'm a binge eater. If there's food on the table, I'm going to eat it all. Like if there's like the ideas of leftovers is like, it doesn't exist. The only way that there's leftovers if other people like at a restaurant don't eat their food. But there would never be a box for me. I would never take food home. And still to this day, I allow myself to, it sounds horrible, but I still will binge eat, but I binge eat in a regulated format. So I know what to eat and what not to eat. And I don't know, it's just, I think it's healthy to try to pick and prod and try to figure out why you do certain things and what you do things for. But that's one area where I've looked into it a lot, and I think a lot of it has to do with my eating habits. I think a lot of it has to do with what I was reading. There used to be, actually, this might still be over there, just so much dust on it. A magazine called Muscle Fitness, and I remember Ronnie Coleman was on the front, and I was like, oh my god, what is that? So much. I think Victor Martinez, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, not the football player but the bodybuilder. I was like, oh, that's what I want that. And for so long, I thought they were natural. I didn't know what steroids was. I thought I had no idea. So I would eat just a tremendous amount of food, proteins, mainly carbs. I would keep my fat like to nothing. I remember those days where I was just eating just plain white rice with just chicken and spinach, and I would have no fat, and I would have no energy, because you need fat. Like, fat is like one of the most important, I think, personally for me. I'm obviously biased because I'm a keto eater. My lifestyle is keto. I go on and off where I have carbohydrates because I don't want my life to revolve around a diet. The way I eat is to enjoy life. But if my weight gets a little out of control because I maybe am eating too many carbs, then I'll go ahead and get on strict keto. One thing I do know is every single time I put on weight, it's never from an overabundance of protein or fats. It's always an overabundance of carbohydrates, because that's binging food. Like, think about food. What's a food that when you just snap, you eat all of it? What is it? It's the ice creams, it's the chips, it's the fast foods, it's the foods that there's no stop button in your head. I guarantee you right now, if you went on keto for 7 days, there would be 2 to 3 days where you're probably eating 3,000 calories. For me, 200 pounds, 6 foot, 3,000 calories is that's a decent amount of food for me. I would say I lose weight between 2,400 to 3,000 at the top end. Depends how much I'm running. But if you eat keto for 7 days, 2 to 3 days, you're not going to have a stop button, right? It's going to be great. Bacon, butter, cheese, beef, and eggs, and all this food that your whole life has been bad for you. You're gonna love it. But then by day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, you're gonna start feeling that stop button in your head, and it's gonna be like, I don't really want to eat that anymore. And instead of going like, that's not good, that's where natural eating is. Like, you should eat when you're hungry. You shouldn't eat when you're not hungry. It's just the way that we've been fed this idea that you eat 3 times a day, you snack twice a day, your snacks are carbohydrates. When do you ever see, I mean, sometimes you do, but you rarely see people eat snacks that are fat and protein. Like, do you ever see somebody just get like a nice little piece of steak and they eat that as a snack? Or, what you see probably, if you see someone eating a keto snack, it's usually not per se keto, but they're just happen to eating something that's a snack. It's usually like a boiled egg that's like cut in half with like salt and pepper on it, like a devil's egg. And that's healthy. Like, to me, that's healthy. And like I said, I don't like to use that word healthy, but I guess in what I'm talking in this manner, the way I eat is that. But all the other foods, like the quick digestive carbohydrates, for someone like me, I could get to 250 pounds by the end of July, and I'm currently 200 pounds right now. So it's just I think it's something you need to be very aware of. But I also think it's important, if you have like these things going on in your head and you're older, I mean, whatever, if you're 15 years old, or you're 20 years old, 30, 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter your age. I think it's really important to, like, Jordan Peterson says it. He says, and I was watching a movie yesterday. What were we watching? We were watching, maybe it was 90 Day Fiance. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 90 Day Fiance. And it's this idea that you cannot leave things in the mist. It's this idea that if there is a problem, if there's something in your life that's affecting you, that's bothering you, there's 2 solutions. There's the real solution, which you figure out the issue, you break down the issue, and you solve the issue. But then there's the one that's used 98% of the time, the one that leads to more issues. So the irony there is hilarious. But it's when you just take your body and you turn a little bit and you allow the issue to be covered by fog. It's still there. You haven't defeated it. You haven't given it an answer. You haven't figured out a solution for it. It still exists, but now it's just hidden from you. It's out of sight, out of mind. And the whole idea of out of sight, out of mind will, to cut to the chase, it will ruin you. It will hurt you. You would always feel like there's something that you should have done. And what you should have done, your body's literally saying, hey man, you should have figured out the issue. Like you should have worked on that. You should have solved it. But most people won't do that. And I am so guilty. I do it all the time. I fail to figure out solutions to things a lot. And it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's something that I think you should definitely work on. But in a lot of ways, I think it's natural. I think it's normal to be somebody who ignores the things that they should be working on that's right in front of them. And I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's wrong. I think to allow you to live a life where you feel more successful, where you feel less anxious. Anxiety is such a fascinating mental illness. It's one that I wish I could. I don't want this to be. I don't want what I'm about to say. I don't want it to be taken as someone who doesn't take it serious. But I almost at times I wish I could experience a level of anxiety that somebody with an anxiety disorder has, because I don't. I was listening and I don't know if this is because I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is the way I was brought up. I don't know if this is like I might be like, sliding my way on the spectrum somewhere. I don't know exactly what it is. I've tried to break it down for a long time now. But I was listening to Bert Kreischer and Taylor Tomlinson talk about it. And Taylor Tomlinson is Jesus Christ. Please stop. And they were talking about this this idea that they were talking about like Instagram for a second. So for Instagram, they were talking about how they if someone that they think is cooler than them goes ahead and likes one of their photos. And by the way, these are famous comedians. Like these are successful comedians. These are comedians that have gone places, that have done really well. And they have successful Netflix specials. Like they're very successful comedians. And this just goes to show that you can't grow out of this. Like it's something that you have to like deal with straight on. Or just be lucky, I guess, like whatever I have, get a little bit of that. And I don't know what that is. I want to know what that is, but I haven't been able to find an answer for what that is. But like Taylor Tomlinson, like I was saying, is someone that they think is cooler than them goes ahead and likes one of their photos. They don't take it like they think it's because they're like making fun of them or something, or like they don't take it as like for me, I guess I can understand why someone would be like, oh, that person, they think they're cool. They think they're cooler than me, liking my photos. They're actually better than me. But for me, like I guess I can recognize that. I can see that. But to me, I just look at it like they liked your photo. Like it means nothing. Like there's no meaning behind it. Or like Bert Kreischer was like saying, like someone who doesn't like something is like, oh, yeah, so you've been looking at all my stuff for a while and now you like it? Like you still think you're better than me and stuff? And it's just, you see that a lot with like people. And I don't want to say it's just a younger generation, because I've had conversations with older people where they think the same thing. I've had conversations with people that think that like I didn't like them. And we had a beautiful conversation. Like, I didn't think I didn't think you liked me. Like I thought you thought I was like a bad person or I was annoying. And I'm like what? I don't know. I guess people just jump to conclusions so quick nowadays. And I think a lot of it has to do with, social media. You put your whole life out there. Someone like me, you can go back and you can watch, 45 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, 200 plus episodes of me just talking into a microphone. So there is this level of, you speak a lot. So people like create this image of who you are. And I don't know. I think it's one of the things that, in 20, 30 years, or maybe even 10 years are going to go by, and psychologists and sociologists and anthropologists are going to be studying our generation as like the generation that had access to like share the voice so much, but they shared the light, like the most shallow parts of themselves, and they actually don't share anything. They share like these clippings and these highlights and these what they want people to perceive them as, but who they are, they never get out there. So there's this constant disconnect. There's this constant insecurity when they're around people, because what these people see is what they show, and what they show is not who they are. So when they do meet with each other, there's a lack of authenticity, and that makes perfect sense. And then when people say like you should share like your real life, it's like, even then, what does that even mean? Because you don't want to share your real life to people, right? Because you're human, and you also know people are mean, and like you don't want to run the risk of somebody not liking you, because there's like a social, you don't want to be outcasted. But for me, you just gotta, it's whatever. Like, I don't know. Maybe I sound like I don't have a heart, but I think it's very important just not look into things so much. I was talking to Taylor about this, and I don't know who was saying, I feel so badly, I want to say it was Andrew Santino. He's like, he was talking on a podcast with Bobby Lee, Bad Friends, and he was saying how he found it fascinating that he is, whatever his age is, 36, 38 years old, and he's looking back at his life. He's like, I had friends that were just there for 2 to 3, 4 years, and that was it. And that's not a bad thing. Like, people are caught up with this idea that you have to, like, people constantly feel like they have to give so much to people. And the truth is, you don't. The truth is, friendships, you don't have to look out for people like your entire life. And I think it's really, I don't know. I think it's very important for people to realize that people come and go in your life, and that's okay. And if somebody is stressing you out to the point where like it's overwhelming, why would you continue to waste your energy? Why would you even wait? Why would you spend another second of your day trying to continue a relationship with that person? You know what I mean? I don't know. And I'm not saying in like a way, because I don't think you should just give up on things. But sometimes you just got to cut the cord, and that's fine. That's totally fine. I don't know. What's been going on in the world today? We're 23. I said I was going to do it. We're 23 minutes in the episode today, and what's been going on? What's been happening? There's been I don't know. I don't know what the I don't know if this is funny or if it's just ironic, but that building fell in Miami. Death toll rises at 9 in Florida. Condo collapse, Miami-Dade mayor says. At least 156 missing after partial building collapse. So there's 9 people that are dead, 156 missing. That was as before. So now there's 147. There's 147 people missing, and 9 are dead. Every single one of them's dead, right? Like every one of them is going to be dead. Not all of them are going to survive. Miami sister building of collapsed condo may have to be evacuated. The fact that it's not evacuated already, that's crazy. First of all, who the hell would be living into a building that is right next door to that collapsed building? But I don't know if you guys have seen that video yet, but it is heartbreaking to see. And like, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend's father, who is an architect. This is what he does. This is his profession. He knows a lot about buildings. This aerial video shows search and rescue personnel working on site after the partial collapse of the Champion Tower south in Surfside, north of Miami Beach. I'm recording this podcast on Sunday. This comes out Tuesday, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more people dead. But I mean, I just listened to him talking. The way he broke down a lot of it, like that, like the person who inspected the place, and he told them in 2018, hey man, this place needs to be fixed. And the fact that nobody fixed it, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not shocked. It's one of the issues when it comes to money. It's one of the issues when you do deal with when you do work in like a capitalistic society, and in law they say endangerment. That's when things need to change. Like if someone's life is in danger, the money gets thrown out the window. But you and I both know, and well, I know, and I think you should know too, whoever you is that money does not give a rat's ass about anything else. And people want money so they don't have to care about anybody else. So they don't have to do anything. And I don't know what's going to come from this. I have no idea what's going to happen from this. But as my girlfriend's father says, quote, heads are going to roll, end quote, because it's true. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, who owns the building? Why did they not fix it before? And, you know, and here's a simple, my simple response to this is somebody was told they want to fix it. They ran the numbers. It was more expensive than they anticipated, so they just let it go. And as letting it go, it's the same thing I was saying before. It wraps all the way back to the beginning. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't see it. It doesn't exist. And that's what you're dealing with. Like, that's what you're dealing with when you're out there and, like, to see the video collapse. It's just, it's breathtaking. It's heartbreaking. You, at 2:00 in the morning, just sleeping, your whole building falls. Like, there's shockwaves throughout the world where it's like, this is America, like the United States of America. Like, this is something that you see in, like, third world countries, or I don't know if you're supposed to say that anymore, but this is like things that you see in countries outside of America. You know, frankly, like, this is something you see in Venezuela. This is something you see in, like, Iraq or Iran, Pakistan, Ecuador. You don't see this stuff in the United States, and you especially don't see it in, like, a place like Miami. You know, at the same time, people are saying how Miami's, like, you know, it's known for its skyscrapers. It's right on the water. But it's Miami, and Miami's always been, to me, it's always been like a shootout, more or less. Like, it's always been the wild, wild west, but in the South. And, you know, Florida is the wild, wild west in the South. And, like, Miami's, like, the wild, wild west inside. Like, the capital of the wild, wild west inside of the wild, wild west. I probably just lost a lot of listeners right there because that was frustrating. But yeah, who knows what's going to come out of this, and who knows what this means for the rest of the country. You know, hopefully people start taking inspections seriously, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but what if we do start taking inspections seriously, and then they start noticing that all the buildings have issues? Like, I live right outside of Baltimore. You don't think Baltimore has issues? Like, I live literally right down the street. I could run to Annapolis. It would take me it's like a 15-minute run. You don't think those buildings have issues? Those buildings have been around since the 18th century. And we just think they're so cool. And, like, obviously they're, you know, not nearly as tall. And if they collapse, you know, maybe 1 or 2, 3 people die. I mean, this is going to be 150 plus people there's no way someone's surviving right now. There's no way. It's been a whole week. At the least, you're going to die of starvation. You're not going to survive. You're going to you're dead. You're dead. And, I don't know. I just play devil's advocate. We would have to tear down. This is someone who would take the idea of, we don't need to fix it. We just keep on adding, you know, just kind of ignoring it. We shouldn't fix it because we would have to fix the entire country. And there's truth in that. I think all cities have buildings that could do this. I could go to Baltimore right now and I could probably point out a few, and I'm not an engineer. It's sad though. You know, you don't want to see stuff like this. It's horrible to watch. You feel terrible for the families. Like, I don't know. And the irony is, the same, like, not the same day, but like when this happened, less than a week later, President Obama came out and said, quote, we got a deal, end quote, on the infrastructure deal, $1.2 trillion, which it looks like he's kind of backtracking that now, which is like, I don't know. It's embarrassing. Like, did you, like, I don't know. But it's just the irony there is like, but also what would giving more money do? It had nothing to do with the money. A guy just didn't want to spend money. Like, the ability to fix it was there. He just didn't, or he or she or the company or whoever is in charge, whoever's going to get the huge lawsuit of that property, they're in charge of that, and they just didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And my thing is, like, he's going to get charged, she's going to get charged, they're going to get charged in civil court, but they should get charged in criminal court too. Like, this is my thing. Like, why don't they get the whole book thrown? Like the Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff he didn't directly kill people, but he led to his own son committing suicide, and probably a lot of people around him ended up killing themselves too. A lot of people lost a lot of money. And what he did, was it criminal? I guess, but it was definitely civil. But this should definitely be criminal. This negligence is crazy. It led to a whole building collapse. Like, you watch that video, you're like, oh, that's not, what are we talking about? That's not in this country. It's crazy. It's crazy. World Health Organization urges vaccinated people to continue to wear masks as Delta COVID variant spreads. Go F yourself, WHO. I don't know who takes any of this shit serious anymore. Like, I think the WHO ruined themselves. WHO, the CDC, like, just flip-flopping back and forth on things, not really taking a stance. Like, they really, if anything, their reputation definitely took a little beating. They definitely took a little beating during the lockdown. And we'll see, we'll see what happens when the next pandemic happens, because it will happen, and who knows when it's going to happen. That's the only question, when. But it's going to happen, and when it happens, who's going to take them as serious? Like, are we going to take them as serious? Like, you saw what happened in London last week. Like, last Friday, they tried to lock London down, or Saturday. They try to lock, they're reinstating new lockdowns. And I'm not saying COVID's not spreading. What I am saying is that at a point, there's going to have to become a time where we just live with it. They're putting in more restrictions, and 500,000 plus people took the streets of London, and like they're in like London's version of Times Square. Like, they're not playing. People don't want it. People have no time for this anymore. And it comes to a point where you're like, Jesus Christ, how long are we going to stay locked down? If you've been vaccinated, the odds of you dying are very low. I don't know if I'm just going to say it, YouTube. I feel like this is based off of just me, and this is just me saying something irresponsible I probably shouldn't say, and I'll probably regret later, but I feel like the chances of you dying from COVID after you've been vaccinated are lower than you dying from the vaccination. Like, I don't know. It's just, see, I already regret saying that, because that didn't even make sense. I don't know. You're just not going to get people to lock down again. It's crazy. There's no way. I've been vaccinated. Like, I don't know how much more do you want people to do? The death toll. I want to say United States death toll COVID. Yeah, it's super low. Yeah, the highest day of deaths we had a couple days, like back in January, almost 4,000. We ever hit 4,000? Yeah, we hit 4,000 in a few days. But we've been going down ever since. 126 yesterday, 490. Yeah, like, I don't know. People just aren't dying anymore. Like, I don't know. You speak a little bit about this, and people automatically go, oh, you don't care about COVID. You think it's fake. It's like, nah, dude, I got the shot right in my arm. Like, I don't think it's fake. I know it's real. I believe in science, but there's a point with freedom. It's like, hey, man, we did everything you're told us to do. You're not going to lock us back down. Like, Governor Hogan could try to lock us back down, but there will be serious consequences. Like, and that's not a threat at all. I'm just saying, like, they tried to lock us down back in March and April, and they did lock us down, which was the right option in my opinion. By the way, I listened to some podcasts of me back in like April and May of 2020, and if you listen to those, you probably don't listen to me anymore. Like, I was saying some crazy. I was talking about just reopening the entire country, like back in April, like. Jesus, I guess this is why you have a podcast. I don't know what I was talking about. Just slinging around some crazy. I'm probably going to look back at this in 2 years when we're on episode 500 going like, what are you talking? Like, stop talking, Mike. Just stop talking, you crazy narcissist. But, I don't know. The final thing I want to talk about is this Johnson & Johnson thing. Like, this is crazy. This is, they are, not solely responsible, but they are one of the people, they're one of the companies that, they definitely didn't put an end to the opioid crisis. They definitely contributed a lot to the opioid crisis. They knew what they were doing, and they just continued to do it, and they didn't care. And, there's that classic thing is like your life. You can't put a price on someone's life, and I believe in that. I believe. Well, unfortunately, there are dollar signs on people's lives. I mean, you see it just with our own. You see it with the FBI. Like if someone's most wanted, you put a price on their head, and wanted dead or alive. Like there's a financial reward. Like money is the most powerful thing in the whole world. And I don't care I don't care if you're talking to a capitalist or you're talking to an anti-capitalist, a socialist. It is the most powerful thing in the world. If you take someone who's completely poor, and they're screaming around saying socialist this, socialist that, give me this, give me that, and then you, and they want to give the money away to everybody, and then you give them $1,000,000. I guarantee that $1,000,000 does not end up back into the to needy people. I guarantee that needy money, that money, the $1,000,000 you just gave it a needy person who's pro socialism, I guarantee they keep that money for themselves and they do selfish things with it. And that's kind of my thing about Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Bezos. People are losing their minds about her. Like, she's donated over $8 billion. Like, yo, dude, she was given $70 billion, whatever it was, $90 billion from Jeff Bezos, whatever it was. She was given that much money. $2 billion of $80 billion, which she probably has stock in Amazon, so it just keeps going up. Like, it's great that she's doing that, but like the way that the media is covering it, they're like saying, "Oh, she's done this. Like, she's donated this much to this organization." By the way, most of these organizations, I don't know if you noticed, but like the Gates Foundation, like why Warren Buffett pull out of it? Like a lot of these organizations, I don't know, nonprofits. I always kind of go like, I think I'm a natural skeptic on things, but I'm like, I don't know if they're doing what they say they're doing. They could be. I could just be a complete asshole, but I'm not sure. I don't know. That was a rant. But Johnson & Johnson's worth $430 billion, and after the lawsuit and after everything came down, Johnson & Johnson confirms opioid business has ended in $230 million settlement in New York. So all of us know people who've died or overdosed or currently addicted to opioids. One of the biggest companies in the world who produce those, knowing what they did, knowing the effects that they had. And I'm not like, you can't, it's hard to blame companies like that, because once you get the ball rolling, you have people that work for you. You have to pay people salaries. It's how you get your kids to college. Like these corporations as much. And I'm such a hypocrite. I'm invested in them. I own the S&P, and the S&P is invest in a Johnson & Johnson. I pay for those opioids to get made. Like, I'm fully aware of it. I'm a capitalist at heart, but I'm a capitalist, but like at heart, I don't want that to happen. But I also want money, because money will give me freedom. There's a lot of philosophical questions, but they ended up paying $230 million. So let this sink in. $230 million out of all the kids who died. That's the price of someone's life, $230 million. To a company that's worth $440 billion. I saw somewhere that's worth 0.05% of their net worth. It's an expense. These companies are so big, and I'm not anti-companies. I'm not. Like, I'm just sharing this. If I needed to use an opioid for an injury, I did one time for an ingrown toenail. The doctor gave me a really strong painkiller, and I was like, nah, I don't want that. But if I needed it, I would take it. And I'm a hypocrite, but that's how much, 0.05%. These companies are so big that's a business expense. That's a write-off. We're going to make something that's going to make us $430 billion. If we get sued for it, let's make sure we get up to that amount in sales, and then we get sued. And then once we write it off, once we pay off $230 million, we're done. $230 million they paid out, and they probably spent, I don't know, $50 million on lawyers and all that. Probably about that, maybe more, like the time. In a lot of ways, and this is kind of conspiracy world-ish, but like, it almost makes you think, like, is this vaccine, like, how did this vaccine get through? Like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It's like 60% effective. How is it being allowed? Like, how is it allowed to be used? Especially when we have like Moderna and Pfizer, these ones that are like, 95% plus. I don't know. That kind of like upset me a little bit. Like $230 million for all the people who passed away and died. But that's the reality of things. These companies can do what they want, and they don't care. But that's it, guys. That's all I got to talk about. I'll catch you guys on Thursday. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do your things. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys on Thursday. Have a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday and Wednesday. And stay blessed, and happy LGBTQIA+ month.